Hey guys, Veebat here with another V Plays, taking a look at the Dornier D17Z. The Dornier D17Z was known as a Schnellbomber, or otherwise known as a light bomber or fast bomber. The idea of the Do 17Z was that the aircraft was going to be fast enough to outrun anybody who was going to chase it, and was much loved by a lot of its crews due to its incredible handling at low altitudes. I wonder what Veebat's going to do with it. So this aircraft apparently was affectionately called the Flying Pencil by a lot of its crews as well, since the aircraft had very long straight lines that allowed it to maintain a very continuous form, and it has a fully glazed cockpit in the front, or like a big glass bubble. Now, they called this wing design a shoulder mounted wing design that allowed it to kind of come off of, I guess you could say, the top of the fuselage. But I think this thing looks a lot like a dragonfly. Like, look at those wings. I don't know. It's a flying it's a flying dragonfly. Dragonflies fly, Veebat. Yeah, I know. So the dragonfly airplane. So again, I say wargaming, make me some animal skins, some animal paint jobs. There's so many of these aircraft that would just look so cool if you were to give them some type of a fun paint job, like the P-1056 looking like a flying pig, or a flying moose, I think is what it may have been called in the past. I actually kind of want to look that up. I saw a decal on one of them in an earlier match, and it just looked really funny, and I never thought about it, but absolutely, flying moose to go along with the flying squirrel. Come on, guys. I need my Rocky and Bullwinkle theme. So anyways, back to the Do 17Z. The Do 17Z carries 5 sets of 4 50-kilogram bombs, essentially 100-pound bombs. So those 4 bombs are going to drop in a line when you release them. Now, the higher altitude you are when it comes to dropping like this carpet bomb style droplets, it's going to spread, and it spreads pretty quickly. So when I drop these, if you can catch me looking back at my own bomb drops, you'll see that the bombs kind of spread out even at this very low altitude. Now, the aircraft doesn't seem like it's going that fast compared to some of my earlier videos that you guys may have seen at higher tiers, but trust me, 260 is nothing to turn your nose up at when you're looking at a tier 4 match. The Do 17Z is more than capable of really being able to influence the battle. It does have quite a few different rear gunner, or they say tail gunner, but they're not tail gunners, right? I mean, there's no guns in the tail of this aircraft, but I do have 3 sets of guns coming out of the upper canopy. There's also a single gun coming out of the lower canopy, and then there are 2 more guns coming out of the front of the aircraft. All of these are going to be 7.92 machine guns with only 32 damage a second. It's very minor damage output, and you're never going to get more than 1 gun on target at a single time. But the more guns you've added, as you continue to upgrade the airframe, the better the field of fire, and the better your defensive fire trait is going to work on your gunner. So I'm sure he's pretty tired though, running between all of these guns. Because there's more than just 2 people in this plane. I think we all know that. My teammates are doing just fine taking this garrison, so I drop, 1 bomb here and finish off the zone. Alright, thanks for the points. Moving on. So we really only dropped on the first 2 facilities, and then we got 1 opportunity to drop here. I am kind of goofing around at this point because I realize the match is pretty much won, or at least it's well in hand. I don't see a lot of resistance coming from the enemy team right now, so I decide that I am going to make my way over to their airfield and see if we can just supremacy this out so that we can get the match over with. Now, you saw me make a turn earlier when I was at the center garrison where I angled the nose up and I dropped the throttle and hit the flaps, and I was able to kind of roll this airplane almost sideways and like slice through the air. That's actually called a kind of an Endelman turn. It's like a stall turn, if you would. So I'm just going to go in a straight line here. I set up my bombing run 1, 2, 3, and now we'll go after the 4th bombing target, and I have essentially stripped this entire side of the airfield. And now I'm just going to leave. I don't need to be here. see you guys. I did my thing, and now I'm going to wait my, 30 seconds for these bombs to come back. So I'm totally cool with getting a little bit of separation. There's only one enemy in that zone, so I figure I've got like 4 aircraft rolling in. This should be easy. We'll get it. And then they start dying. So here we are. This is kind of that Endelman. We're doing a stall up and then letting the nose fall over. And look how quick that turn is. It's a nice way to be able to do a turnaround, especially in an attack aircraft. I do it a lot in my ground attackers, and it also works with my bomber. We're going to throw some bombs, and the idea is based on your approach angle. If you're diving, the bombs are going to drop more clustered together, but if you're raising the nose up, you're going to kind of spit them out like you're chucking them out from underneath you. So by making that maneuver, you can see those bombs spread across the entirety of that main structure. And then we're going to drop here, and we managed to take the facility, so I dropped both sets of bombs up. I turned too much, and I still have a set of bombs. I didn't realize it until just now. And I'm like, crap, should I drop it? Should I hold it? Alright, I guess I'll just drop these bombs. So we'll drop them, and watch as we look down what the spread is on these bombs, even at this really low altitude. How much those bombs scattered just from here. So imagine how bad that would be if you were sitting up at 7,000 feet stalling out your bomber. It's not going to be that good. I really do think that this is a very viable tactic, this low altitude bombing type of stuff. I know some people think it's a little game breaking. I know I do in certain instances, but there are bombers that were meant to do this. The Do 17Z was a low altitude bomber. The A-26B, arguably not a bomber, was more of an attack aircraft, so it was meant to be at lower altitude. It was also known for doing night operations. Same thing with this Do. So they tended to fly lower in order to have better ability to do land nav. So just some things to consider. We're going to make our way over to this other garrison and see if we can help out with this final couple of runs to be able to take this facility. Squall line is up, but it looks like my team is doing just fine. They managed to take the zone, air supremacy. The rest of the game gets kind of boring from this point. But for doing low level missions, like when you're doing those missions that are for like rank for tiers 1 through 4, this is a great option for being able to capture facilities. So just some advice from me. Now on to the end game stats. Alright, all in all, not a bad battle. I mean, we didn't do spectacular. There wasn't a huge personal point score here, but you can see when it comes to the team score, we managed to get pretty close to the top. The I-17 did a fantastic job as well, so shout out to you, X-Human. You did a great job, man. I think you knew it, though. We managed to rack up about 7,000 personal points, and we gained about 93,000 credits. For being a tier 4 bomber, this thing is pretty decent. It does a great job of being able to take out quite a few targets, despite the fact that it only has 5 sets of 5 100-pound bomb equivalents. So all in all, relatively small munitions. 20. So 20 divided by 5. Yeah, 4 bombs per kit, sorry. So 5 sets of 4. Not too bad. They don't have huge blast radius, they don't have huge damage, but that's all the more reason for you to get Demo Expert on any of these bombers as soon as you possibly can, because it corrects for your own error in aim, because it'll allow those bombs to be able to get on target and really cause that damage. We are running concealing livery as well as reinforced airframe and improved covering. Concealing livery is a great asset to have, especially if you're going to be flying at altitude, even because there's going to be a lot of gunfire coming in, and that flak can really wreck your aircraft, especially if you're going to be sitting in gun sight mode, spinning circles up in the air. You're definitely going to be taking a lot of damage to the aircraft. And what makes that even better is that Protection Expert actually offers a bonus to that particular piece of equipment. So it's a 40% boost to everything Concealing Livery gives you, which is a 30% reduction in incoming anti-aircraft gun damage. So add another 40% to that, 40% of the 30%, right? So it's not 70% damage reduction. This is 40% added to the existing 30% reduction, so it's somewhere around, what's half of, let's say, a little over 40% total is what you're going to get from concealing livery, or yeah, concealing livery for the damage reduction to the AA, which is good because that's only going to help you that much more. In addition to that, it's also going to help you with your other defensive traits here, which are going to be your reinforced airframe, your additional armor plates, and your improved covering. So we are running improved covering as well as reinforced airframe, but we're not doing it just because of the perks that will reduce the amount of incoming critical damage, but we're also doing it for what it's going to do for reducing or increasing your overall aircraft hit points by 15%, as well as improved covering gives you another 5% to your aircraft's overall HP. It's also nice that it reduces the amount of critical damage incoming on your aircraft. I have only upgraded the machine guns on this aircraft because I wanted to top it off, and one of the other nice things about this is that you get double the guns for the nose when you upgrade it, so you're getting a little bit more damage out of it, but you're also getting more gun depression. Or sorry, you're not getting double the damage. There's an extra gun on the aircraft, sorry. So with this second gun setup where you get two of them, instead of just having one up by the cockpit, you're also going to have one down here in the front of the nose, which will allow you to shoot down 40 degrees. So you have a better field of fire. You're not getting more damage. It's the same damage output. So just bear that in mind, even though I misspoke on that originally. And the same deal here for having one or three top turrets. So it says 3 top turrets, but it's actually just 3 guns that are, you have 2 that are added to the side, which increases the field of fire to 100. So why are we increasing the field of fire? What's the point, Veebat? Like, these things are causing, what, 32 damage a second? I don't think I'm going to be killing a lot of aircraft with this. You're absolutely right. You're not going to be killing them. However, your gunner is going to be running defensive fire as soon as you can get it, because that's going to decrease the amount of incoming damage by 30%, which increases the amount of time that you can survive to let an ally come in and kill that aircraft, or at the very least for you to finish doing your bombing run and capturing that zone. And the longer they're shooting you, the longer they're not shooting anybody else and not affecting the rest of the battle, because you are, despite being a tier 4 bomber, you are a big target for that tier. You have a lot of hit points for that tier, especially if you're running all of the protection expert and the reinforced airframe as well as the improved covering. You have a lot of hit points that they got to work their way through, and this is going to make it that much more difficult. By having a very wide field of view, it will allow them to be able to get those hits on target earlier in order to get the effects of defensive fire that much quicker. In addition to that, you really want to get quick reflexes, because that will reduce the aiming time, allowing those guns to hone in on that target that much faster, meaning again it's going to contribute to defensive fire. And that is the way I like to build all of my bomber crews. If you have these 4 skills between your pilot and gunner, you will find that you have a much more effective aircraft when it comes to doing bombing missions. And that's the gist of it. And this thing really does perform at tier 4, as do all of the bombers. The Blenheim does great at tier 3. Blenheim, sorry, I've been corrected. Blenheim at tier 3 does a great job. This aircraft does great at tier 4. There's the Ju-88. Great plane at tier 5, although it has the exact same bomb setup as this aircraft, you can still make it work. The Doe 215 is amazing. I love that bomber. It is amazing. I sold it for this aircraft. I am very tempted to rebuy it just because I enjoyed it so much, and then the RB-17 as well, and the A-26B. Those are all of the bombers you have available, but if you can get these sets of skills, they will just maximize them to the nth degree. Alright, I've rambled on long enough about my Doe 217Z. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you liked and what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.